welcome as we kick off our alumni speaker series. Tonight we are joined by Jesse Rawley, is a financial management major from the class of 2002, and he graduated from the Fayette campus. He currently resides in Renton, Washington. And so, Dr. Duffy, I'm going to turn it over to you to give some brief remarks.
All right. Well, thank you, Annie. I want to thank actually your office and Andrew, who's with us right now, who's our Vice President for External Affairs. And of course, I want to thank Jesse, who's a peacock, a very committed peacock, who is really a long time been in touch with us. He comes to some of our events here and he wanted to get engaged. I think it was about 3 years ago, Jesse, where you contacted us and say you want to get more involved. And so that's what we really like to see, that our alumni are involved. And I can attest that Jesse is doing well. His company is, and he is, and we have been in touch. And I would encourage all of our students, as you're looking at this, we have a lot of alumni that may not be on these shows, but you can always talk to our alumni office. And if you're going into any profession, whatever the career might be, we have alumni located all over the world that are likely in the profession that you want to be in. And you can be connected one-on-one. And we have a lot of them that would be happy to talk to any of our students and any of our graduates. So having said that, Jesse, thank you so very much for joining us. And then I'm going to back off and I'm going to cut out my screen so you don't have to be distracted by this lovely head and everything. Okay. So let's have a good session here. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Duffy.
Thank you all.
All right. So we're just going to get right into it, Jesse. I know that there are several things that you want to talk about tonight and some different things that you want to allow our students and alums and UAU community to get to know a little bit more about you. So first of all, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So thank you, Annie, for having me. You've done a fantastic job of organizing this. So just want to say thank you to you. Thank you to Dr. Duffy for jumping on the call. Always good to see you. So yeah, I live in the Seattle, Washington, in a suburb called Renton. I am joined there by my lovely wife, Bethany. We've been married 3 years now and have a little one. We have an 18-month-old named Isla, who is just the pure joy of our lives, as you can imagine. If you're a parent out there, you'll understand that. Annie, I know you are. And yeah, the big news tonight, if you tuned in, drum roll, please. No, just kidding. The big news tonight is we actually have a baby on the way. So yeah, exciting stuff. We're expecting another little girl at the end of May. And so UIU community and loved ones, anyone tuning in, feels special because not everyone knows. So I'm going to catch some flack for this from some family and close friends that are finding this out later. So,
oh my goodness, this is the first time. So congratulations.
Well, thank you for inviting and involving your UIU community in your wonderful news. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So, I mean, again, this is part of my family, right? And heavily invested in the school still. And kind of tailing off of what Dr. Duffy mentioned, you always have an opportunity. If you have some free time, try to see if you can get involved, and serve, maybe not just your alma mater, to go serve some other organizations, whether it's nonprofits or something you feel passionate about. That's what I've always tried to do. I try to give back, right? Because it's always been people lifting me up and helping and supporting me. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, just encourage anyone to, if you have talents, share them with others, whether it's your local community, friends, family, your alma mater, like I'm trying to do. So yeah. And so that kind of just leads into what I do out here in Seattle. I'm an employee benefits consultant or advisor. And so really what that means, it's a fancy title that I'm an insurance broker. So what I do is I work with employers that are anywhere from 50 employees all the way on up. So my largest client's 1,000. I've worked on a 16,000 life company before. And so, yeah, what we try to do is then strategize and help employers with their medical, dental, vision, life and disability, Aflac products, that might make sense to some folks. So that's what I do. I consult on those on employee benefits specifically, and help employers by trying to keep costs down, have the richest plan designs possible, so that's really attractive for retaining and recruiting employees. And then also, just at the end of the day, my main focus in getting into this job was to put more money back into the pockets of employees. So that's really what my focus and my desire and my goals are in my current role.
All right. Thank you so much. And I kind of have to backtrack a little bit. So since we are on Facebook Live and others are not joining us on Zoom, if at any point in time tonight during Jesse's discussion, you have any questions, comments, anything, please feel free to drop them in the comment on Facebook Live, and I will be going back and forth between both screens here and monitoring the comments. And so I will be more than happy to ask those of Jesse, and he can provide you his insight throughout the evening. And then obviously any comments at the end, any questions you would like to ask Jesse, please feel free to do that. So just kind of getting right into it. The main theme of your talk tonight, I know, is overcoming diversity and how it helped shape you into the person and the professional that you are today. So can you just talk a little bit about that, where you came from and why that's such a big part of who you are?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Charles City, Iowa. So not a stone's throw away from Fayette, the main campus. I come from, and again, talking about adversity, right? And I don't want to think my story is special. It is different. It is my story. It is unique to me, right? And we all have our own unique stories. And I think that's something to celebrate. And I'm grateful for this forum. And just, it's been brought to the limelight, right? We are struggling, especially in this last year, 2020, with the COVID outbreak, quarantining, people at home, a lot of people struggling with mental health. And so that's kind of where I'm kind of talking tonight a little bit more about my mental health and where that comes from, right? So really, I wanted to just kind of start with a background. I've come from a single parent home. My mom raised myself and my younger brother. No child support. We lived on welfare. Kind of the story I share is my mom took 2 boys, 2 suitcases, and $200 and left. She'd spent the last money, besides those $200, on plane tickets. So we were in California with my then father. And my mom decided that I've had enough physical, verbal, mental, physical abuse, and I'm going to get my boys out of here. So she went back to Iowa to be surrounded by family, and thank goodness she did. I can't imagine where I would be today had I grown up in that type of environment. My dad has gone to prison and served his time. Luckily, he's doing much better these days, but he was an alcoholic, frequent drug abuser. And he struggled with mental health himself, being bipolar. So, kind of stacking that up, kind of talking through my childhood, my adolescence. There was very little discipline in my household. My mom, I was always bigger. I played college football at Upper Iowa, so I was always blessed with size. And my mom struggled to discipline me. She'd hit me with. She tried to hit me with a wooden spoon. I was too fast. And if she ever got me, I would just laugh at her. It didn't hurt. I would just say neglectful parenting as well. It's not my mom's fault. There were times my mom was working 2, sometimes 3 jobs. I love her. She's my hero. She did the best she could. But at times, she just wasn't around. And we were old enough that we could fend for ourselves, but if you don't have that parent there checking on your homework, and disciplining you, and checking in with you emotionally, right? That becomes an issue. So, and then also on my mom and dad's side, I kind of talked about this, but also struggle with mental and substance abuse. So alcoholism, drugs, and then the mental health side, right? Depression, bipolar. And so as a child, as an adolescent, a lot of us those things are hidden from us, from the adults, right? And often we don't have those things talked about to us. So yeah, I grew up kind of thinking that my family was the one that was the one struggling, was the one that was imperfect, and looking at other families and thinking, wow, they have the perfect life. They have money. They have nice cars. They have things, right? And thinking that, wow, they're probably leading a perfect life. And the reality is they're not, right? People are struggling. People are imperfect. And they're just typically trying to do the best they can. So I talk about neglect a little bit. I would share that, one of the biggest issues and biggest things that I've taken away as I've started my therapy as an adult is learning about that childhood and the foundation of not having feelings being neglected, and not having that foundation of being able to understand my feelings and be able to speak them out and talk them out. Luckily through my adolescence, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, I luckily had sports. If I swear to goodness, if I hadn't had team sports and been surrounded by great coaches and mentors and fellow players lifting me up and guiding me along the way, I don't know where I'd be. Also, just the fact that especially with football, you can get a lot of aggression out. You can really pour your feelings out on a field. And that certainly helped me as well. So I'm grateful for that. But, really, the one thing I want to stress to everyone is, if you don't have that, or you feel like you may be struggling with outbursts or things along that nature, you may be carrying something from your childhood carrying that forward, and not being able to really deal with that really affected me now into my adulthood, right? Marriage, dating, now as a father, parenthood, and basically what I found 2 years ago was I really wanted to address those things and not have them carry forward, right? I wanted to be a more perfect man, or a better man, better father, better husband, all those things, right? And so I took a step back and realized that, it was time, and I wanted to address those things. And that's really a message I wanted to carry forward through today, is just kind of sharing my truth, that my story is unique. And I know there's others out there that are struggling with their own stories. And I just encourage you to maybe push forward and ask yourself some tough questions, and then also be open to maybe addressing those. So one other thing is, I struggled with childhood wise was lack of education. My mom, bless her heart, had a high school education. She ended up getting her associates. So proud of her for that, as we were children. But my mom didn't know, or impart on me how important good grades were. I wasn't taught how to balance a checkbook. I actually, Fayette, Iowa, going to the bank there in town, the lady at the front desk, I opened my first checking account, and she taught me how to balance my own checkbook. That's pretty amazing, right? And that's something I'll never forget. I also didn't know how good credit was, right? I didn't know how things in my life, the choices I made would be affecting my future in the sense of a credit. And then, I would say, I mentioned this already, but lack of discipline. At Charles City High School, Charles City, Iowa, I was voted most likely to oversleep. That's not something you're proud of when you're 41 years old. Okay, let me just tell you that. It might be cute when you're in high school and you get to sleep in more than the other kids, but it affected me, right? It affected my grades, my studies, and then all over, in practice and studying and focusing in school. So things of that nature. And then, just kind of, I do want to give some credit. A lot of credit, I should say, is, honestly, at the end of the day, it takes a village. I was supported by family, by friends, coaches, teachers, colleagues now in my professional life that have always lifted me up and supported me. I'm so grateful for them. And I at the end of the day, like, looking at some of those people and respecting them has really pushed me in a sense. So I've always looked up to successful, and I think people that I've respected as I've gotten to know them, and looked to them as for guidance, and just kind of sought to incorporate parts of their lives into my own, right, and becoming the man I am today. And then at an early age, I started setting goals. So I was very fortunate. At 10 years old, I knew what I wanted to be. I saw a couple gentlemen in my hometown, Charles City, and noticed that they had very successful businesses. They happened to be in insurance and investing. And I'm like, you know what? Someday I want my name on a door. I want to kind of do what they do. It was a Pursuit of Happiness is a movie, right? Chris Gardner story. And I'm like, okay, what do you guys do? I want to do it. And so really just tried to kind of follow that and set some goals, right? I wanted a finance degree. I wanted to go to play college football. I wanted to be in insurance. I wanted to make a certain amount of money by the time I was 30, and just kind of setting those goals and have followed them and been very grateful to achieve them. And so then it's, what's the next goal, right? And setting the next thing, right? Getting married, starting a family, having a successful practice of what I do in my profession, right? And then another thing, is I've always surrounded myself with good people that make good choices. Very proud of the fact that, I'm very fortunate. I don't have a record. I've made really good choices in my life and been very fortunate to do so, but it's really about who you surround yourself with, right? You are who your friends are. And I am grateful to all of them. If any are tuning in, I'm just so grateful. I love you all. I'm honored and blessed and humbled every day to be able to call you a friend, and vice versa, right? So, and then kind of, I'll stop on that little tangent, but I would tell you that my blood type is B positive. And I carry that over to, I really try to, in every day, in every aspect of my life is, you know what, it's going to work out. Life works out. If it doesn't, I'm going to make it work out. And just trying to take that positivity, good karma, and pass that through into life. So.
All right. Before we jump into why you chose Upper Iowa and why it's so important to you, we do have a question, and it is, were there any people in your life who were less open to your own desire and willingness to address some of your issues you faced in your childhood?
Ooh. That is deep.
That is deep.
I really can't say that no one sticks out, right? Again, and that kind of goes back to my last point is you are who your friends are, or you surround yourself with good people. If someone's been for lack of a better term, I don't know, a negative Nelly, or, just someone that's not been a positive influence in my life, sometimes you have to make hard choices and move on from them. I have some friends that I know that are out there that are struggling, and I love and support them. I pray for them. I wish them well. And at the end of the day, I take my shirt off and try to help, give it to someone and try to help them any way I can. But, at the end of the day, some people have to make their own choices, and they have to start making some positive choices and change their lives. And to be honest, there's just, as people may not be a good influence or making wrong choices, I just can't surround myself with them, because that's just not the way I am in my life and the trajectory I'm trying to go on. So sometimes those paths don't align.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we all know that Upper Iowa is a huge part of who you are. So why Upper Iowa? Why did you choose to come to Fayette and surround yourself in this community?
Yeah. So I thank goodness for football. Let's just put it that way. So I played my senior year. We played Decorah in the state playoffs. And I went up against the Fulsis twins, if anyone remembers those names from Decorah. They both wrestled at University of Iowa. They were very stout young men back then. And Decorah was our nemesis. We rarely beat them at Charles City High School. So anyway, we were playing them, and I had probably one of my best games of my life, and it was my last game in high school. And luckily, it was my coach at one of the coaches, I should say, was Dave Wilson. I'll never forget this. He was at that game and scouting, and I wasn't on his radar, and I ended up coming on his radar at that time. And so it was really between Upper Iowa and Nyack Junior College, and what was I going to do? Because my grades weren't the best, but satisfactory enough to get into those two institutions. And I visited Upper Iowa, and it was a no-brainer for me. One of the most beautiful campuses I've ever been on. I'm partial. I think it's the most beautiful. I just love the area around there. It was close enough to home, but far enough away. And grateful for those coaches that recruited me, and I think it was the Blimpie sub that they bought me. I think it closed the deal. So.
All right.
And so, yeah, I sorry, just to expand on that really quick. Sorry, Annie. You know, I'm so grateful to Upper Iowa because of all the things it gave to me, right? And that's another reason why Dr. Duffy mentioned that I want to give back to my alma mater, right? I feel indebted. And so it doesn't always have to be financial, right? And so those are different. You know, I serve on the Alumni Association board. I'm grateful to do that. We have monthly meetings. If you haven't heard about that, please connect with the alumni relations team. Brenda, she's phenomenal. And yeah, just encourage you to get involved. And I love doing that. It keeps me connected to the school, even though I live in Seattle, Washington. And then again, to give back in any way and shape and form you can. I'm giving back because of, you know, the people that were there. They ended up being role models, parental figures, whether they're coaches, professors, people that held me accountable, helped teach me discipline, work ethic, structured routine, right? You had classes, schoolwork, weightlifting, practice, work study, all those great things, right? And I'm so grateful to Upper Iowa because it opened my eyes. I went to Charles City High School. There was one African-American family in town. I didn't get much exposure to diversity in Charles City. And nothing against Charles City. It's actually changed. It's gotten a little bit better, but Upper Iowa opened my eyes to that and different cultures. You know, one of my professors was Muslim, and just getting to learn different cultures, different people, understanding our differences, but what drew us together and how were we alike. I think that was really special. And so, yeah, and then just 4 years of making great friends. I've connected with quite a few. Thank goodness for Facebook. I'm grateful for that. And I stay connected to probably 150 people that are, you know, associated or related to Upper Iowa. So it holds a special place in my heart.
Absolutely. And I would have to agree, as I'm sure many people who are at Upper Iowa would also agree, that it is a beautiful place in Northeast Iowa to live, to attend school, to travel and visit to. So yes, I would agree. It's a wonderful, wonderful place up here. You talked a lot about earlier, you've talked a lot about mental health and persevering and kind of being able to overcome that. And I know that's a lot of how you've overcome some of that adversity. Do you want to talk a little, I mean, are you comfortable talking a little bit about that and kind of how that has helped you in your career and just kind of with other aspects of your family and personal and professional life, and kind of how maybe Upper Iowa helped play into that a little bit and helped you with that overcoming of adversity and perseverance?
Yeah, I mean, you're going into your adulthood, right? You're in school, you're an 18-year-old kid, I felt like. And, you know, by the time I graduated, I became a young man. And again, it's those, oh, shucks, I'm searching for a word, but it's those experiences, those life experiences that you go through, right? And so, yeah, I mean, one of the things that it sits with me is, you know, I going into my senior year of college, you know, I'm going to start on the team and getting ready to come back for 2-a-days, and had a really successful summer doing an internship. So yeah, at the end of the day, you know, I connected with my father, and, you know, he was going to come back and say, son, I'm going to watch you play football. And again, this is a person that lived in another state, would maybe show up every 3 or 4 years, and, you know, just no relationship. And so, you know, I got my hopes up and feelings up, and thought, you know, here's my dad going to come watch me. I can show him, you know, make him proud. And he never ended up showing up. And so, you know, that's how kind of how my mental health kind of, I mean, it started throughout my childhood, right? But a big part of that was lack of a father figure. Again, luckily, I was surrounded by great friends who had wonderful fathers or grandfathers, and different men in my life that kind of took his place, and really were good guiding lights for me, good mentors. But now I step into where I'm at as a 41-year-old man, as a father and a husband. And, you know, my childhood and my adolescence, the scars of my past were starting to play into my adulthood. And that's where I took the step back and said, you know what, it's time to speak with someone. And I will tell you, I have the best therapist in the world. She has been such a wonderful, a godsend to me and my family. She has helped me kind of peel back the layers of the onion. And sometimes I'm sweet, sometimes I'm not, I'm sour, but try to be more sweet. And she's really helped with that and helping me understand what that, where I've come from, the scars that I carry through. It's heartache, it's trauma, to be honest, and it's going to be part of my life forever. But I've come to a point now in my life where I've allowed myself to grieve. There's definitely been some sessions where I've broken down, because you're talking about some things that I've typically, and a lot of folks do this, is you bury it under the covers, right? You're buried under the rug, and it's rare, but it will come out. And sometimes when you've built that up, it can come out in big ways. So yeah, just grateful that I've met with a professional that could understand kind of my plight and help me uncover some things and help me address them as I'm growing into adulthood and into fatherhood. So the biggest thing I just want to share with people is, the mental health stigma, right? I'm dealing with my professional career too, right? I represent medical insurance, and it has come to the forefront and into the light, especially in 2020, home with isolation, quarantining, people losing jobs, finances. There's just so many ways that 2020 was such a negative thing for so many people. And that's really, depression and anxiety is up. We're seeing prescriptions dial up, right, because of those issues. And to be honest, your loneliness is actually a big contributor to your overall health. And I don't know if many folks know that, but that's really kind of what I wanted to shed some light on today, and make that a priority.
All right. Thank you very much for that. You also talk about the golden rule and kind of how that's a motto that you live by. How has that kind of been an impact with you living in Seattle and, being from small town Iowa and then coming to Fayette, another small area, and then moving to those larger cities? Can you talk a little bit about how that experience has been like for you?
Yeah, great question. So I left Upper Iowa and went to Chicago for 8 years and worked out there for my first job. And then, I moved to Seattle 10 years ago. And so living in two big cities, it's different, right? I will tell you, driving down the road in Charles City, Iowa, you'll get a wave every so often, right? And I love that feeling. I miss that, right? I miss small town Iowa. I miss Midwest nice. But those are things I talk about. The golden rule, right? That was imparted on me at my grade school. I think kindergarten or first grade, right? Golden rule: treat people how you want to be treated. And then Midwest nice was ingrained throughout my growing up. My childhood and adolescence is you just treat people again the way you want to be treated. And so I've just carried that forward. I don't care where I'm at. I walk down the street in Seattle and I smile at people. This is pre-COVID, right? Before masks. It's a little harder to do now. I smile with my eyes now, but I mean, just, you never know. You smile at someone, you can make their day. They could be having a rough day and wow, you catch them off guard. I love those scenarios. I've seen it happen. Or I just, randomly give someone a compliment. Hey, love your shoes, or I love that vest. It catches people off guard, but I just think as a society, it'd be nice if we could get back to that more often. Often we're wrapped up in our phones or our personal lives or our professional life, right? We're stressed, right? And we're, it's constantly go, 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 and it's instant information, right? And we get so caught up in that. And I do it myself. So I don't want to say I'm perfect, but in those moments that you can do that, I encourage you to, again, anytime, just treat others how you want to be treated. I think that it's a huge rule. I've tried to apply it in my life and take it forward. But another thing I would just kind of encourage or ask people to do is love thy neighbor. Again, especially with this last year, right? People are isolated. People are, again, struggling. You never know if you went to knock on a door and, social distance from your neighbor and just check on them. My wife and I have a neighbor. I think she's 91 years old, and she's still doing great. Gets outside, walks her dog. I should say around her yard. But we've developed a friendship with her, and we hadn't seen her or heard from her in a little while, and so we just reached out and hey, how are you doing? And understanding that her son struggles a little bit. He has some physical disabilities. And so he was really hurting and not able to get out of the house. And so she was without her medications for some time and was too ashamed to reach out to anyone, especially us, to ask for help. And so she mentioned that she was without her prescriptions, and we offered, of course. And so we got her prescriptions that night, and we just continuously have been checking on her and continuously going out to the store to get her prescriptions. And you just don't know, right? And so just encourage you to check on others. I saw this recent study. It was, and I'm going to read this because I don't want to get it wrong. So it was a research by Sarah Pressman of the University of California, Irvine. And it's talking about how loneliness affects your health. So it says, it demonstrates that while obesity reduces longevity by 20%, drinking by 30%, smoking by 50%, loneliness reduces it by 70%. That is huge, right? That's more than double obesity or drinking. So just know that there's someone that you know and love or care about that is probably struggling. And so, please reach out to them, and make a difference. You just never know. So
I think that is what is so great about our Upper Iowa University community is that we kind of develop those family relationships with everyone. And, we are family when we're here and we're family when we're outside of here. And, can we look out for each other? So that's a very startling statistic. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight. So in my role as Director of Career Development, I do a lot of career readiness, kind of looking into what employers are looking for, what employers are needing. And we belong to a national association, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And they have created 8 core competencies that are career readiness competencies. And I know we, in our conversations, Jesse, we have talked about this quite a bit. So it's a pretty hot topic in career services in general and among HR employers, HR and employers. What competency do you feel is most important in helping excel one's career goals, and why?
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing those to my attention. That was new to me. So super focused on what I do. I would say, after looking at those, oral and written communication is huge, right? We still use it every day in our lives. Unfortunately, I see some people misusing it on social media. But I would tell you that I think oral and written communication is one of the strongest areas that I would focus on, whether you're a student or, a young professional or, years into your profession, or maybe wanting to change professions. I would honestly just focus on that. A couple different things come to mind, resumes, right? And resume prep, right? And making sure that you don't have any typos, and it looks cohesive. And honestly, reach out and lean on career development, Annie, right? And you have that at Upper Iowa, but also professors, people that you look up to in your profession or a community, right? If you know them, don't be afraid to reach out to them. I will tell you, an email changed my life, right? So I was at Upper Iowa University as a junior. I did not know there was career development. Shame on me, right? And I didn't go over and utilize it. And so I worked on it myself. I drafted an email. I ended up sending it to Schaumburg, Illinois Chamber of Commerce. Just a random email, send an email here. And again, it wasn't addressed to anyone. I just said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. But I had a strong, concise message. And yeah, it ended up getting sent to the owner of the firm where I first worked. So he deleted it. And within a week, one of his managers said, "Hey, I'm actually looking for an intern this year, this summer. What are your thoughts on that?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I remember this email. Let me get it on my deleted bin and forward it to you. There's an intern applicant." I had an internship out of that, right? And so I sent an email that sparked something in him that made a difference. I think it was something that related to him. And again, I didn't know that drafting that. But at the end of the day, right, it's if you make a difference with your wording, always be concise. Don't over talk like I am tonight.
You're fine.
Learned that lesson. Um, yeah, I would really recommend that you be strategic and smart about that. I noticed tonight that I'm sure someone saw on the LinkedIn post that you sent, Annie. Someone tried to connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't know the person. Looks like we have Upper Iowa in common, and that's great. But what I would tell you is if you're trying to connect professionally, send a note, send a short note. Hey, we went to Upper Iowa together, or hey, I want to get in insurance. Can you help me? And again, I would pass that on to anyone tonight if you're still tuning in, if anyone tuned in. I'd be happy to pay it forward and help and support anyone, whether you're Upper Iowa or not. If you're needing some help or some mentorship or just asked a question, I would be more than happy to help and reach out and support you. So find me on LinkedIn. And be happy to connect with you. But again, send a message. Don't just try to connect with people. There's no common connectivity. I'm old school. I want to shake someone's hand or look them in the face or get on a virtual call with them. I want to understand and connect with you, and then I'm willing to connect professionally. That's just kind of my take and my feelings on that. I will tell you one other thing really quick. I struggled as a professional when I got into this role with cold calling. I luckily was sat down by a mentor, a colleague, a boss, and said, "You better get to it," right? And so this was my dream job, my dream role. This is what I've wanted to do since I was 10 years old, believe it or not. And it was the biggest messaging to me in my career. And I've had success and on an upward trajectory since then. So I guess my message to you on that is I've taken my cold calling and I just try to be precise, concise, and again, what's my messaging and how can I relate it to that person I'm going to call? And then I always follow up with a very short, concise email as well. And so it takes some effort. You have to do things that make you uncomfortable. Take a public speaking class at Upper Iowa, right? Or even if you've graduated, go take a public speaking class. Oral and communication classes, go do something that makes you uncomfortable. But again, those are, I think, the skills that can drive you and push you to another level professionally and in regular life, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That kind of goes into the next question that I was going to ask then too. In addition to the things that you've already mentioned, how would you encourage others to help improve their communication skills so that students can be career ready when entering the workforce? Is there anything additional that you would add to what you've already talked about?
Yeah, I just thought of one. Go find someone that you look up to or respect, potentially in your hometown or in your network or communities. Go reach out to that person and ask them if you can spend a half an hour to an hour with them. If you have the means, buy them a coffee, take them a coffee, or just ask them for their time. And I guarantee you 98% of the time they'll say yes, and they're wanting to pay it forward as well. And if they say no, call me or message me. I'll do it. And again, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I love what I do. I'm fortunate to have a successful career. And again, those other people out there and the careers that you may choose and the path that you may take, lean on them. I'm sure they had someone help them at some point too.
Absolutely. And those sound like wonderful remarks to kind of wrap up our kickoff to our alumni speaker series. Is there anything else just in general that you would like to leave the UIDU community with tonight before we close things out?
No, I just say be proud of your alma mater, and try to find ways if you can, whether it's financially or, your time, whatever it may be, maybe just try to give back, right? Because believe it or not, a lot of people have, sacrificed and given back to you. And so again, it doesn't have to necessarily be Upper Iowa. That's kind of where my focus is right now. But yeah, just encourage that. Love thy neighbor. Golden rule, everyone. And yeah, I just give back if you can. It's good karma, and it'll come back tenfold. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jesse, so much for joining us on our Alumni Speaker Series this evening. And for those of you joining us on Facebook Live, thank you so much. We hope that you will continue to join us as we push through the Alumni Speaker Series on a monthly basis. If you are interested at all in being a speaker with us, you can reach out to the Office of Career Development, to myself, to anyone on the alumni development team. We are all interested in hearing your stories, and I know our university community is interested in hearing all the wonderful things that our alums are doing and the stories that they have to share. And so, as Jesse mentioned, if you are interested in connecting with him, find him on LinkedIn. He obviously has a wonderful network that he can help you connect with, and kind of help you with those different goals that you are looking to achieve in your career goals and competencies and anything that you are looking to achieve. So I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening, and we hope you will tune in next time.